You're welcome to another edition of Just Getting Started. I'm Nicky Hughes, your host. Andrew Doyle is a young Irishman who was living his best life, a regular life, going to college, enjoying his football, until disaster struck one night when he was savagely assaulted out socialising on a night out with his team. And you'd think that something like this would hold someone back, or he'd be bearing a major grudge against the perpetrator, or he'd find it difficult to move on. But not Andrew. He's made of stern stuff, different gravy, and he's probably the best example of someone living above the line that I know of. I caught up with Andrew recently in the football club and started by asking him all about himself and the place he calls home.
I live in Stamullen in County Meath. It's a tiny little village, like many others in Ireland. I've lived here all my life, and currently we're sat here in the clubhouse for the St. Patrick's GAA in Stamullen, which me and Nicky are both involved in.
And Stamullen, of course, has seen huge changes over the years. When I was growing up and in my formative years, I would have known every single person in Stamullen. And then the so-called boom of the 90s and the noughties came along, and Stamullen went from about 600 people to about 6,000 people. I don't know how many, but there's certainly a number of thousand people living here now. Have you seen a lot of changes in Stamullen in your time here?
I'm probably too young to remember the time when Stamullen was just fields, but even when I've grown up the last 5-6 years, the amount of new estates that have gone in, and the village has just expanded so much. So now new businesses are coming in and out, and it's almost turning into a little town.
Yeah, and what's it like to live here?
I love it. You know, people are great, friendly. It's a real nice community atmosphere. I'm even thinking just there the weekend gone, Atomic Fitness, the gym in Stamullen, did a 24-hour run, and the entire community really got behind them. I mean, that's just one example that comes to the top of my mind. So it's a real close-knit community where everyone gets along and a lot of people know each other.
What do you do for a living, or are you studying, or what's happening there?
Currently studying international business and languages in TD, and then I work weekends in Centra in the village.
So take a step back there. International business and languages.
Yes.
What is that, and why did you feel like that was something you were interested in?
The way the world of business is evolving now, I think it's crucial to have a language, and it can really open up different opportunities for you. And Spanish is the second or third most spoken language in the world, along with English and Mandarin. So I felt like it was a great opportunity and a good course to try further my ability in Spanish after the Lebensart. And I've always had an interest in travelling, and international business just seemed like an obvious option for me.
What kind of stuff do you cover in the course in international business?
It's a lot of kind of marketing, consumer behaviour, and there's a fair bit of accounting involved as well. Nothing too complex, just the basics more or less. And then we have the languages side as well, obviously. So we have a Spanish course, Spanish language class 2-3 times a week.
Yeah.
So that's the Spanish side there. Whereas the business side would be, as I said, accounting, consumer behaviour, marketing theory, management. It's very broad kind of business topics.
Are you being set up to be an entrepreneur? Or are you set up to become part of a company?
I would say you're definitely being built towards becoming part of a company. We haven't done too much entrepreneurial skills, but there's definitely options within the college to further pursue that, and you can take classes outside. Like, I constantly get emails about entrepreneurial programs being set up. I haven't gone to any of them now, but my course particularly is kind of geared towards entering a company.
Is it all about the money?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love your honesty.
Yeah.
That's great, yeah. So it's all about, well, you tell me. I'm not going to put words in your mouth.
I'd say it's definitely a big priority. The point of work, I suppose, is to earn a living and earn a wage. So if you're going to be working 40-50 hours a week, I've always thought you might as well make as much money as you can without sacrificing your quality of life as well, obviously. And then if you're building up your finances as well, it gives you a bit of freedom later on if you want to pursue something else. So I think your early kind of 20s, which I'm in now, is the time to build up a bit of a savings account, and where you can take a few risks later on. You have something to fall back on.
You talked about St. Patrick's Football Club in Stamullen. Big part of your life?
I only got involved with the football club when I was 16, 17 in the middle of COVID. I'd never played Gaelic up until that point.
Oh, why?
I just never really came from a footballing family, I suppose. It was always soccer. I've played soccer since I was about 5 years old up until probably about 15. And then all my mates were playing football, and one day I just said, fuck, I'm going to go down and see what this is like, and never left. So
could you describe St. Patrick's Football Club for us?
It's just a real community full of great people. Everyone's willing to help out and everyone wants to be there. It's a real joy to be involved in. 3 pitches there, running track, an incredible clubhouse, a gym. Like, we're very lucky with the facilities we have here. One of the best in the county, definitely.
When you think about Smullen and when you think about the overall community that you live in, what kind of place does St. Pat's hold in your mind?
The club and the community go hand in hand with each other. I even think driving through the village during Christmas time and the place, all the Christmas lights are green and white. I think stuff like that really symbolises how important the club is to the community, and even when we've gone on championship runs there the last few years, the community gets a lift and people are talking about it and it really brings people out. So Mullen definitely wouldn't be the same place without the Gaelic Club.
Yeah, it is certainly a place where a lot of young folk go to get exercise and to socialise, and it seems to be the real heartbeat of the community. And there are lots and lots of other great organisations. There's great football club, soccer club in the community. There's all sorts of dance classes and so on. So there's really great stuff, but it's all kind of hosted here at St. Pat's GAA. The heartbeat of the community, would that be a fair assessment, or do you think about it in a different way?
You know, when you come down here during the summer, you're guaranteed to see young lads out with a hurl or a football, doing work, talking to their mates, getting outside, exercising. And for lads to have that opportunity instead of going out and hanging around outside shops and corners, I think is so important for the community, and it really gives lads a purpose for later on in life as well, especially. And even older folks in the community be coming down watching games, and it gives them something to do in their time as well.
And is it for everybody?
Oh, there's definitely people who couldn't be bothered with it. That's the same as everything in life. Do you know, sports just isn't for everyone, and that's okay. Do you know, but I don't think anyone would have a problem with it or would go against it at all, because there is only really good in it.
So you started playing Gaelic football.
Yeah.
It's quite different to soccer, obviously. Tell me about the teams that you've played with.
Well, I only started playing minor under 16s, under 17s. And when I first came through there, we had 3 coaches. I won't mention their names, obviously, but I think they really were just open and honest, and even from the get-go really encouraged me to get involved and to keep going at it. And like, to receive that sort of encouragement is so important. Like, it was my best mate's dad who was the manager of the team, and to have someone like that just really encourage you and push you. And he'd even drive me around to games that just to watch a championship game for a random club, and to see that and all was just incredible, and just makes you love the sport even more. Now, we never won much or minor, unfortunately, but sure, that's not important. And then kind of you move up into the adult level a few years later and you meet a different set of coaches. Same coaches are there here now, more or less. Under 20s. Yeah, it was very similar kind of philosophy to mine, or just encouragement. Like, they encourage you to make mistakes, to learn, to grow, and really embrace what you're trying to do. And like, along with that came a few trophies. We've won a few junior championships the last year, and 1 or 2 intermediate leagues and cups as well. So it's been a great last few years, in fairness. Had plenty of joy. So yeah, but I just think the management you've had just encourage you so much, and really they make you want to come back week after week, which I think is so important.
Would you describe it as amateur? Would you describe it as semi-pro? Would you describe it as pro? How would you describe the setup?
Well, I mean, technically the GAA falls under amateur, but it doesn't feel like an amateur sport with the commitment and everything that goes into it. It's probably at that semi-professional now at club level. I think it's very hard to achieve a professional status or a professional level, because everyone's working, everyone has different things going on as well. I'd probably consider it around the semi-professional level. There's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, video analysis, training 3 nights a week with a game on the weekends. It's definitely a huge commitment. On top of that, all the gym work and running you're expected to do by yourself. It's definitely not at that professional level where it's a full-time gig. It's not far off at the same time.
And there's a bit of team building involved?
No, definitely.
What kind of stuff do you do?
We went up to Carlingford there a few weeks ago, did a team building exercise up there, and after that was the typical Irish way of go out on the beer and enjoy ourselves. Yeah. Which in fairness is a lot of team building, but that's really great seeing, because it encourages lads to kind of get out, and after a few points they're going to talk to anyone. So it really kind of helps bring the lads together.
And it was on one of those team building exercises that you experienced a life-changing event.
Okay, so it was about April 28th, I think, around there. And we went up to Donegal on a team building session. We went up, we had a training session in the morning and then headed up to the Donegal Centre of Excellence. Had a great training session there with Eamon McGee, a former Donegal All-Star and All-Ireland winner. And then headed into Ballybuffet for a night out. And we were out all night. Had a great time, in fairness. Great crack. All the lads are getting on well. And then, yeah, it all kicked off, I suppose, about 1:30 in the morning. I was in a chipper and I seen a few of the younger members of the teams who were in their first year of adult football, and we were just talking, whatever. And we were walking back up the street after we got our snack box, pizza, kebab, whatever, all the usual stuff after a night out. And we were walking back to the hotel, and one of the young lads had a box of pizza, and a few of the local lads from Ballybuffet wanted to rob his pizza. Really stupid stuff. Slightly aggressive, I would say, demanding. They weren't asking for the pizza, they were taking the pizza, if that makes sense.
And were our team in good spirits? Were we aggressive? Were we giving any lip?
No, not at all. Like, we were in a pub the entire night. We were getting on great with the local people at Ballybuffet. There was no incidents up until that point. It was a great community. I have nothing bad to say about it at all.
One of the lads tried to swipe one of our lads' pizzas.
Yeah.
Go on, take us from there.
So he's trying to rob the pizza, and as I said, it was 3 of the younger lads on their team, so I was with them, and I kind of had a few words with one of the lads. Just, lad, fuck off, you're not taking this pizza. Nothing too serious. I wasn't the nicest, I'm not going to deny that. And then I said, you know what, lads, fuck this, we're not going to win here. So we walked back down to town, pizza still in hand, which was very important. And we were walking away, and I got maybe 10, 15 yards, and all of a sudden I just got hit from behind the back of the head 2-3 times out of nowhere. The time I'd turn around to kind of see what was going on, somewhat defend myself, your man who'd hit me had ran away, and little did I know that it changed my life forever.
Was it with a fist? Was it with several fists? Was it with an object? What was it?
As far as I'm aware, and from what I've gathered, it was one lad who threw 2-3 punches from behind. There was no weapons or objects. It was nothing like that. It was just a real low blow, cheap shot from behind. That, well, I would call unnecessary, but
yeah. And do you think was it on both sides of your head or one side, or?
It was 2 shots to the right eye, definitely, and 1 shot to the left eye, because I had a broken eye socket on my right side in 3 different places. And I had a black eye on my left side as well, so I was definitely hit on both sides. It was very hard to tell you exactly how many punches were thrown, because, well, I wasn't exactly counting them in the moment, but I think it was around 3.
So how were you feeling right then and there at that moment?
I actually felt okay, weirdly enough. It never really registered. Do you know, when something like that happens, you kind of go into survival mode, so it registers and you're like, okay, that's not good. Try turn around, defend yourself, not make the situation any worse. And then once I seen he'd ran away, I was like, right, we are where we are now. So I just headed back into the town and try and find some of the teammates, and I flew over their heads and see what their opinion was on it.
Tell me, like, what were you feeling? I mean, feeling a lot of pain?
Weirdly enough, no. It never really hit me until the day after. I completely thought I was grand. I'd had a fair few drinks at the time, so that probably helped numb the pain a bit, but it was really weird. I never felt sore. I never even considered the possibility that I'd have a broken bone. There was a small bit of blood on my nose, nothing else, nothing too severe. The lads are just like, holy fuck, what is after happening here, really, because they're just not expecting it. It kind of came out of the blue. And as I said, we were walking away, so no one actually seen it coming, so all of a sudden we'd gone from walking back into the town to I've after getting assaulted, and Jesus Christ, fuck, like.
Was anything else affected?
Not at that time, no. I'd probably held the side of my face just to kind of see if it was swollen or anything. At the time, there was no impact on my eyesight or anything. Not that I noticed anyway.
If you could compare it to, so you're playing in a physical sport, football, and I'm sure at some point you've either got a shoulder or a box to the head at some point. Was it something that you could compare to that moment, or was it totally different?
The best way I can compare it to is when you get hit hard in a game of football or rugby or whatever sport you play, the adrenaline you feel initially kind of numbs the pain and you don't really notice it. So that probably happened there to me as well. And then it was only later on the next day that I kind of woke up and the adrenaline had worn off. And that's when you really notice it and you're like, oh Jesus, this isn't good.
So just take me back then to immediately post the incident. You guys decided to head where? Back in to find some of our other lads?
Headed back into town, try to find a few older heads with a bit more experience, just to see what they'd say and what do we actually do now? What's the protocol, I suppose?
Yeah, what happened then?
There was a bit of an argument afterwards, to say the least. Nothing too severe, but I myself just headed back off. I didn't get involved in anything afterwards. I headed off with one of my teammates as well. I ended up getting sick actually on the side of the street, funny enough. That's probably when it hit me.
You vomited?
Yeah, that's about 10-15 minutes later. I was trying to sober up a bit really, just to try to assess the damage, and that's when I threw up on the side of the road.
And again, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but would you describe it as a result of trauma that happened?
Yeah, trauma probably is the best way to put it, in fairness, yeah.
So back to the hotel?
Yes. Back to the hotel, just straight to bed afterwards. I got sick a few more times during the night, just up out of bed into the toilet, and then I remember waking up the next day, I was covered in my own vomit. I must have got sick during my sleep during that night.
So you did sleep?
Broken sleep, as I said. I was getting up during the night to get sick once or twice, but I said I probably hadn't fully registered at that stage what had happened and what was to come, so yeah, I was just kind of like, alright, I'll get sick, I'll be grand in the morning. I'll just kind of try my best to sleep it off.
And you wake up the next morning. What happened next?
My right eye was completely swollen shut, black, so I couldn't open that at all. We thought I might have had a concussion because I was fairly lightheaded and I was just in a really bad way, to be honest with you, Nicky. That's the point where it hit me that I was actually in a bit of trouble and this really wasn't something about probably sleep off. So I woke up and a few of the lads came into me and assessed, and we just tried to figure out what to do really. Decided to get the bus back home and go back to my parents and go from there.
The actual discomfort that you felt that morning when you woke up, how much of the discomfort would you put down to a regular hangover? And what percentage would you put on the injuries and the incident that happened?
I'd put about 98% on the injuries that happened. I've had many hangovers in my life, but this was something completely different. The pain was in my right eye predominantly. I couldn't open it, and I'd never experienced a black eye or any injury really. I've been very lucky. So to wake up like that in a completely different world, it was just like, it was an entirely new experience to me.
And you mentioned that you'd been hit on the left eye as well. Was that black and blue as well?
Nowhere near as bad as the right eye. I could open it clearly and there was no actual damage there, but it was definitely black and blue, yeah.
And you could see out through that clearly, but you could not see anything through your right eye?
No, I could see out of my left eye completely, and then my right eye was swollen shut, so didn't open for another day probably.
Were you sharing a room with a couple of guys or one other guy?
I was in a room with two other lads, yeah.
And when you woke up the next morning, what were those two guys saying?
They're both kind of going, holy fuck, like what's after happening here? One of the other lads was asleep actually, funny enough, for the majority of it, so he didn't say too much. No one actually realised how bad it was at the time, myself included. So there wasn't much anyone could say. I think everyone thought, okay, black eye, a concussion, that'd be the worst of it. So yeah, there wasn't too much said, really, to be honest with you.
When did the team management find out about it?
Probably soon enough to when the bus was going to leave. One of my good mates came up to the room actually and had a look at us, just to see how it was, because no one had seen us for breakfast or anything. And he came in and had one look and went like, holy fuck. And then came down, got the management, then everyone came up, and one of the lads in the team is a physio as well, so he kind of came up, had a look. And that's when we kind of did a bit of an assessment ourselves, and I said I thought maybe concussion, black eye. That was the worst of it. So that's when the management came up there.
And at that point, was it quite clear to you that there was something more serious going on?
I knew it was more serious than just a black eye. I never expected my eye socket to be broken or anything like that. I was shocked when I was told that in A&E later on that day, but I realised then it wasn't just a a regular black eye, if that makes sense.
Was there any follow-up from our side, or did you guys decide just to head back home and assess the situation and take it from there?
But we tried to go to the Garda station the next morning after, but unfortunately it was closed, so there wasn't much we could do there. I'm not actually sure if there was any interaction with the hotel management, because there was nothing they really had to do with the incident, I suppose.
Yeah.
That was kind of out with our hands.
What was the journey like back home on the bus?
Probably the quickest and longest bus journey I've ever had. I was asleep for most of it, but when I was awake I had a sick bag in front of me just in case something did happen, but rocky enough in the hills of Donegal anyway.
Yeah, and had you stopped vomiting at that stage?
Yeah, definitely. I hadn't vomited in hours at that stage, so.
Okay. And looking back in hindsight, what was that vomit? Was that concussion, was it, or...?
It probably was a bit of concussion, yeah, and almost a really weird way of dealing with it, I suppose.
So you walk through the front door at home. What happens then?
Nothing, surprisingly enough. My mum was out with my brother at the time, so I was one of the coaches that brought me home, and no one was there. So I had to ring my mum and stuck the coach on the phone to her, and that's when laid the situation out. There was an incident last night. It's not a phone call any parent wants to get, so she rushed home from there and had a look at us.
So mother looks at it and she goes, holy shit.
Yeah, you're going to A&E. And I was there like a typical lad. No, I'm not going to A&E, I'll be grand. I was told I was going to A&E, so I was tripped off to A&E anyway in Drogheda and sat there for the usual couple hours until I got seen. Again, I kind of thought I was just concussion, you'd be grand, go home, sleep it off. Then I got sent for a CT scan. I was like, okay, that's not great. They're probably just going to make sure there's nothing internal. Then had the CT scan, waiting hours on that, the usual crack. Then they came back and they said, okay, your right eye socket is broken in 3 places. I was actually so tired at the time because I hadn't slept in ages, so I didn't really register. So I kind of went, okay, that's not great. Anyway. And then I had 2 appointments made for me the next 2 days, even in St. James's Hospital and the Mater Hospital. So I went home, went to sleep, and next morning I was up again back at the hospital.
3 breaks in your eye socket.
Yes.
Any other damage to your nose or to your other eye, or was that it?
Concussion as well. And then there was no other damage on the left eye or my nose or anything, thank God. All we could gather from the original CT scan and the doctors at the time, because they're not eye specialists obviously, so they couldn't give me a diagnosis, was that there was a broken eye socket. It was only till the next day where I got further diagnosed with the real damage and the real possibilities of surgery and everything in the future. So that came the next day when I was in St. James's Hospital dealing with the Maxfax unit, where I met a consultant. Then he kind of had a look at the scans and the movement of the eye, where we noticed I was seeing double as my right eye wasn't moving properly. So that's kind of when I was like, oh geez, this really isn't good, because you're not meant to see double obviously. So that's kind of when it really hit me where, okay, I'm in trouble here. So I seen him and we did tests, and just moving your finger in front, left to right, how many fingers can you see when it's at this angle, this angle. I was seeing 2 at the majority of the angles.
So your eye had started to open at this stage?
Yeah, my eye had opened enough to where I could see out of both eyes, but because of where the break was, there was limited mobility in my right eye. So when I was looking at certain angles, my left eye was extending upwards fully, whereas my right eye wasn't. So 2 different images were getting sent to my brain, where I was seeing double. So I sat with the consultant for an hour or so, and he said, we're going to give it 10 days, see if it heals itself. Hopefully we'll avoid surgery and just see how it goes. And then the next day I was in the Mater Hospital dealing with the eye specialists, where they did tests on the eye, and thank God there was no damage on the actual eye, because God knows it would have been a hell of a lot worse if there was.
Okay, so help me understand this. So the eye socket around the eye was broken in 3 places.
So I had a double break right underneath the eye socket, and one just beside the nose. The one beside the nose wasn't too bad. There was nothing really to worry about there. It was the 2 underneath the eye socket that were causing the damage. So basically, when the eye socket breaks, there's a risk of your eye kind of slipping down almost, because there's nothing there supporting it. So because of that, and the muscles are getting tangled and everything else along with it, my right eye didn't have as much mobility, and I couldn't look as far up down, left, right as my left eye. So when I was trying to look at certain angles, my eyes were almost looking in different directions. So the two different images were getting sent to my brain, and originally it was actually a nightmare to figure out which one was real or which one wasn't.
In that 10 days before you saw the team the next time, tell me about your family, what they were thinking. Tell me about your friends. Tell me about the football club. Tell me about all the actors in your life. How were they reacting and what was their demeanour?
Everyone was actually just so supportive. No, I've never had so many people texting me in my life, checking how I was, is everything okay? Just making sure that I was going to be okay, I suppose. There's no one I could fault at all, really. The support I got from it was unbelievable. Everyone was just really worried and concerned. For such a tough thing to go through, I suppose, the support, and like, it was just amazing.
How are your parents?
Probably still shocked now, but again, they were just concerned for my well-being, I suppose, and I obviously don't have kids, but if anything like that happened to my kids in the future, Jesus, I'd be terrified that they're not going to be okay. So again, just try to support me the best they could through it and make sure everything was going to be alright.
What was the worst case scenario at that time for you?
Worst case scenario was I was going to go through surgery, and then you've obviously all the risk with surgery, so anything on the eye, there's a chance you could go blind in the eye, which wouldn't have been ideal. Now, that was a very small chance, so I wasn't really worried about that, but that was definitely worst case scenario, I suppose.
So that was a very real possibility.
Oh, you definitely had to sign a contract or waiver to say this could happen.
Not to be too crude or base about it, but did that put the shits up you?
Yes, I suppose it did. It's not a nice thing to think about, when you're sat in a hospital ward the night before, kind of mentally preparing yourself, thinking, yeah, this could happen. Or even when you're sat in theatre about to be put to sleep, you're actually just thinking, this might be the last one we see out of my right eye. So it definitely gives you something to think about. I wouldn't say it scared me per se, but it was definitely on my mind a lot. Wouldn't have scared me enough to not go through with it or anything like that, but it was definitely something it was on my mind a lot, definitely.
Yeah, were your parents thinking the worst or the best during it?
My dad was with me for the whole thing throughout the hospital, so he was fairly stressed and hoping I was going to be okay. Natural parenting thing to do. So just trying to calm me down the best I could, even though I was calmer than them. So,
what were you thinking about the perpetrator of this act at the time?
Not an awful lot, to be fully honest with you, Nicky. The thing I've always said from day one is I have no idea who actually hit me. So, like, everyone was kind of saying to me, are you going to press charges? Are you going to try to pursue it? And I've always kind of been like, not really, because I don't know who hit me. Like, I don't think I'd be willing to stand in a courtroom and point at a young lad and go, yeah, that's who hit me, when I don't actually know that.
And if you did know who it was that had hit you, what would you have done? Would your reaction have been different?
Well, I'd probably would have pursued it a bit more, because that's a different story altogether. When there's a definitive figure to pinpoint and blame, like, I'm not one to hold grudges or anything, it's at the end of the day, it's a lad who made a mistake. It's a bad mistake to make, and it affected my life, but it's easy to go, fuck him, whatever, bastard, he ruined my life, but I don't know who he is, so it's hard to hold a grudge against someone that you don't know. So I'm not going to wish bad on anyone. Things happen.
Yeah.
Move on.
When you look back on the incident and look back on the subsequent journey, what positives do you take from that story?
Well, the first thing I would say is that I have no regrets about anything from it. And then strength of character. Like, I've learned a lot about myself the last few years, stuff I probably would never have learned otherwise. And I'm more than capable of getting through anything. So now it's going to take a lot to bring me down if I can get through that the past year. So I think that's the main thing.
I don't know why I feel so emotional now, but that is actually a very emotional thing you've just said. What else have you learned about yourself?
I've learned that I really have great people around me, more so than anything. The support I've got through the last year has been incredible. Lads texting me out of the blue for months now, just still checking in, how are you? Even when I'm just seeing a lad I haven't seen in a while, they've asked me how I'm getting on, any progress with us. So I just learned people really care. And
so no need to go into all of the details from that moment onwards, but give us an overall view of the treatment and the diagnosis and the events that you'd gone through, whether it's operations or whatever. Just give us a quick overview of that particular road.
Well, we're still on the road to recovery now, nearly a year, 3 months later. So I had the operation 10 days after the original appointment in St. James's Hospital, where I got my eye socket reconstructed. So there's two different ways of doing it. You can either go with a metal plate about the size of a €2 coin, or you can get a piece of bone taken from your head or your hip and do a bone transplant, a bone graft even. I chose to do the metal plate. So once you're asleep, they raise your eye up, cut through your eyelid, and put a plate in there.
So your eyelid underneath. Yeah, so they split that open and they basically weld a piece of metal in to join the pieces of bone. Is that right?
That's it, yeah. The metal plate along with, I think it's 2 screws to hold it together. So the bone knits back together and kind of helps form itself back. So.
And what happens to the plate then?
That's there for life.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no hope of that coming back out. There was talks of it coming back out a while ago to be replaced with a piece of bone when we kind of discovered our silts in double months and a year later. Didn't go ahead now, thankfully, because the operation went well and there was no need to mess around there again. So, but yeah, the plate will be there for life now.
Were there further procedures after that?
There was about a year later. First operation 2024, 1st of May, second operation 1st of May 2025. So that was only a day procedure in the Mater Hospital. That was a walk in the park compared to the first one.
And what were they doing then?
They just had to weaken a muscle on my right eye because I think there was a nerve damaged somewhere in the right eye. It's very complicated. I barely even understand it myself. But something was overcompensating. So my right eye was shooting right quite extremely, and I was seeing a lot of double when I was looking down and looking to the left and looking to the right. So they weakened the muscle there and it's kind of realigned the eye almost. That's worked very well in fairness, and I have the vision back up to about 98% now.
So the 12 months in between the two operations, were you going, Jesus, this is slow, or were you going, I'm making great progress here? What did it feel like?
It was kind of just day by day, to be honest with you, Nicky. Some days you feel all right, some days you feel a bit down, kind of naturally. You kind of go, geez, when is this going to end? And now I was lucky, I was back in work in college, so that took my mind off things a lot. It's something to kind of focus on.
How long after the incident did you go back to college?
Well, I missed all my exams originally. So I went back, did my exams late August, and then I was back for the start of the second semester.
Okay, so you were out of action, really out of action for about 3 or 4 months.
Yeah, I was out of action for work for the same amount of time. No heavy lifting, nothing like that. So it was a long recovery process, in fairness.
Yeah, so from September onwards, September 2024 onwards, you slowly got back to work and you slowly got back into college.
Yeah, slowly got my life back to normal to a degree, I suppose. Took a lot longer to get back driving after that.
What went on there? So when did you get back driving?
I got back driving probably around Christmas, maybe. And I had to wear corrective lenses. It's like glasses with a bit of tape, which block out the areas where you would see double, which sounds a bit mad to say. So I was back wearing them around November, because I think it was 6 months post-operation you were allowed to drive with corrective lenses. So it took a long time there. And then obviously once I had the second operation, I got driving was taken away from me again. And then I only got that back recently enough. So
what was that like, not to have the independence that you were used to?
Frustrating, very frustrating. Like, you're going from a position of just being able to pick up the keys, go wherever you want. So now even if you're hungry, you want to go for a bit of a lunch, you can do that. Or you want to go watch a match somewhere, yeah, you can do that. Whereas now you're going to, can I have a lift? I wouldn't mind going watching that. And obviously no one minds, no one's going to say no because they understand what's wrong. But it's annoying and frustrating that you have to ask more so than anything. Where you feel like, look, I know how to drive, I have my license, I should be able to just pick it up and go.
And were the parents going, oh God, this is painful, having to carry you around again?
To a degree, not too much in fairness, because again, I think everyone kind of goes, there's actually nothing he can do here, do you know? Just makes life more awkward than it needs to be.
Yeah, was it difficult to see screens and to look at the lecturer and all that?
It wasn't too bad once I got back to college, because that was about 4 months later. So I'd kind of adapted at that stage. But initially post-operation, I was at home just recovering, just watching a lot of Netflix, so there was nothing else you could do really. That was quite difficult. I remember having to actually move the TV because we had it on a stand originally, so I had to move it down to almost to eye level because when I was lying back looking up at the TV, I actually just couldn't see it.
Because you were seeing double, yeah.
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 I don't think my vision will ever be back to 100%, to be perfectly honest with you. Once it's kind of where it is now, 95, 96%, I'm happy enough, do you know?
Are you wearing glasses full time?
No, I don't need glasses at all because, as I was saying earlier, the eye never got damaged. So it doesn't affect me in day-to-day life anymore, thank God. But it is still there.
And you're back playing football?
Yeah, it's a long time coming now. It felt really natural going back into the fold. Like, I'd still been involved with the club throughout, coming down to trainings, matches, hanging around change rooms. But yeah, it felt really natural coming in, back in. Everyone was just really welcoming, happy to see me back, encouraging me. It's tough coming back after a year, fitness-wise, trying to get back to the pace of things, but I'm just actually delighted to be back kicking a bit of ball.
Are you feeling up to it? Are you very aware of your eye?
Not really, to be honest with you, because when you're so focused on something that you're doing on a pitch, you're not thinking about anything else. Do you know, people who often go through a lot of things often say sport is a great way to, or going for a run is a great way to combat it, because it just helps you focus on one thing for an hour and there's nothing else. So you're on a pitch that your eye is the last thing you're thinking of, really. And again, it's not noticeable really when I'm playing, so it's the furthest thing from my mind, funny enough.
Heavens forbid, but if you got another box in the eye, what would happen?
Realistically, nothing. Like, there's obviously the chance that if I got hit incredibly hard, but it'd have to be from Alexander Usyk or Mike Tyson or someone, that there could be a lot of damage, but that's not going to happen, so I'm not really worried about it.
So you're back?
I'm back.
Feels great. Well, it's great. It's great to have you back. Yeah, yeah. And I must add that we have an annual dinner dance where we recognise the achievements of teams and individuals throughout the course of the past 12 months. And you were awarded the most valuable young player in the team. And it wasn't a sympathy vote in any way, shape or form, but it must be said that the behaviour that you displayed throughout the course of that year or 18 months that you were out was quite exemplary. You didn't walk away and you didn't get lost and you didn't hide away from anything. You stayed involved, you contributed as much as you could, and you were a huge factor in the successes that we've had in the last 12 months. So thoroughly deserved, and it's a credit to you and a mark of your professionalism and your stature as a human being that you did all of that. So well done on that again.
Thanks a million, Nicky. I really appreciate that
stuff. Yeah. Lessons. What are the big lessons?
Just enjoy it. You only get so many of these growing up. Really embrace it. Put yourself out there and just leave with no regrets. Engage with your teammates as much as possible, and whatever happens will happen. Do you know, and stuff like this that'll really help bring you closer together and develop you as a team.
Do people need to be cautious when they're out at night time? Do people need to be aware of the dangers, or do they just go for it?
No, definitely be aware of the dangers. Like, the world is a very different place now compared to, let's say, when you were growing up, Nicky. There's a lot more. I don't know if that's just, you see a lot more violence and incidents happening because of social media. It's a lot more publicised, but you definitely have to be aware of your surroundings nowadays. There's no two ways about it. Like, any lad could have a knife or anything on them nowadays. It's so much easier not to engage, and just don't put yourself in harm's way.
What kind of importance do you attach to brotherhood, to teammates, to cohort? You know, how important is that to you now? Is it more or less important than it was?
More important than ever, I'd say, really. Like, same with every young lad playing sport, I suppose. Your teammates, they become your family, more or less. You know, it's a real close bond, and it's something that is so important in your day-to-day life. Whether it just be showing up to training, seeing your mates 2-3 times a week, having a laugh. It's even, like, it's such a great social aspect, and it's great to know that you have a second family there as your back throughout everything. I'll be there by your side no matter what.
No regrets?
None. None whatsoever.
No bitterness?
No point having bitterness. What's anyone ever accomplished by that?
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think feeling bitter and regret and holding grudges is so easy to do, and if you're constantly trying to get back at someone, you're just taken away from what you're trying to accomplish yourself, and I think it's just a waste of time, and so much better things you can focus on.
Yeah. What are you trying to accomplish yourself?
I think the main focus now is just to get back enjoying a bit of football, finish college, get on with life, and we'll see what happens. There's no 10-year plan, to be perfectly honest with you. We're just going to see what will be, will be.
Do you feel lucky?
Yeah, definitely. Now, very lucky to have great people around me, great support. So many people who don't have that, so I have to say I feel very fortunate to be surrounded by the people I am and the opportunities I've been given.
This is your chance for a closing speech.
Everything's going to be okay. It'll work out. You can get through it, anything. It's not as bad as it may seem, and it's going to be okay.
You'll know that we have a coffee shop here at the football club. It's called Above the Line Coffee, and if anybody personified the notion of living above the line, it's you. And I wish you well, and I can't wait to continue to get to know you better over the years, and I know that there's something special there, so I can't wait to see you smashing it out of the park.
Thank you, Nicky. I really appreciate that, and thank you so much for having me on. It's been a pleasure.